Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and it's Friday. And with me, as always, is my talented and beautiful co-hostess, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome all listeners to Friday, where Friday is like a green light. You speed up until after work and start to slow down once the light turns yellow.
Nice, baby.
You are hey.
Voyse and I enjoy reading and talking about stories from the internet that are interesting, funny, and dramatic. Because of our love of stories, we've come together and created this channel to share with you those experiences.
And hopefully give you some food for thought. I just kept thinking of you as hey.
Well, why don't we get into stories while I enjoy my morning cup of brew?
Do you know what you're going to enjoy today, or should I tell you?
I mean, you should tell me because I don't know.
You're going to enjoy some green tea with mint. It should remind you a lot of another drink.
Like mint julep?
Exactly. That's
nice.
why I picked it out for you. I figured I'd start this off refreshing.
Yeah, I love mint julep.
Well, while you go ahead and enjoy your drink, let me let the listeners know that all story links are in the description below. Now for our first story. Am I the a-hole for canceling my boyfriend's birthday party after he failed to show up on time? Sorry if there's any errors. It was my 26 female boyfriend's 30 male birthday last month. We didn't spend it together because he was away with family. So I decided to organize him a birthday party with a couple of his friends. Everything was settled. The place, the time, everything. Maybe 3 hours before we needed to leave for the party, he got a call from a colleague asking if he could come help him with something at work, and my boyfriend accepted. He promised he'd be back on time for the party. We were supposed to leave at 7:30 p.m., but he wasn't there, so I tried calling. He didn't pick up. So I left a voicemail saying I was leaving for the party and he needed to join me there. By 9 p.m., everybody was there, but not my boyfriend. We all waited for him, but at 10, as he still didn't arrive or gave any news, his friends started leaving one by one, and I decided to cancel the party altogether. I texted my boyfriend, party canceled, everybody went home, and so did I. When he came home an hour later, we had a fight and he left. I didn't know where until his mom texted me saying that I was horrible for what I did and that he was gonna stay at hers for a while. I do feel bad because I know he was really excited about the party. Am I the a-hole?
Okay. Good story to start Friday off with. There's some stuff I think we're missing here, though. But I guess we'll start with this because we're going to set the table. OP is 20s, 27, something like that?
Correct.
Her boyfriend is 30.
Correct.
30th is a big deal it's a milestone. 30th birthdays are always fun. Sounds like she had a surprise party set for him. Or not really surprise because he knew to be there, right?
Correct.
I think?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not a surprise for her. But they did have a birthday party planned for him. He knew what time to be there. He was told several times. Now he says a work function popped up at 7:30 at night.
Yes, he said a colleague called him saying he needed to go. Well, based on the comments from our poster, apparently he's a mechanic and he had to go fix a car.
Okay. At 7:30 at night, I don't know too many mechanics that are on call.
At 7:30 at night?
Yeah, normally it's a shift. You know what I mean?
It tends to be during the day.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure this out for myself. And he just disappears non-contact for 7 to 11, we're saying? That's the time period in which we're playing with. He gets home at like 11, right?
So it says 3 hours before the party. They're supposed to leave at 7:30.
Okay,
so
that
this
means
means
even
at
before 7.
4:30 he left.
Okay, so from 4 p.m. till around 10:30, 11 p.m., he's no showing, no contact, nothing. Even though he knows there's a party being planned for him.
With his friends there.
So why can't we account for, how many hours is that?
6 hours?
A little weird that 6 hours goes unaccounted
From 4
for
to 10.
on your birthday. So there's a lot of suspicious things. As I'm working through this tale of lies, I'm getting worried for our OP because what she's describing to me, and I hate doing this because you're assuming a lot, but I feel like some stuff is adding up to not good things. I feel like your boyfriend's probably seeing someone else and he got caught up in whatever he was doing in his extracurriculars and put you on ignore for a little while, because that's not something you just miss out of the blue. Are there updates to this story?
There is not.
So I'm all on this assumption alone.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone.
Oh, I look forward to hearing these comments.
Let me hear what your verdict is, of course.
OP, you're definitely not the a-hole. There's some suspicious stuff going on in your relationship, and I think you're about to get told by everyone.
So, the verdict is that she's not the a-hole across the consensus on Reddit. In fact, as you've gone about it is exactly how commenters have gone about it.
Oh, no.
A lot of this doesn't add up. As a mechanic, yeah, you might have those last minute projects, but
on your birthday at 7:30 at night.
On a day where you're celebrating your birthday, you're not contacting your partner
company
at
would
all.
make sure.
A lot of people say, you didn't cancel the party, OP. He did. Or some people are saying the party still happened. He just wasn't there.
There's just a lot of hours not accounted for.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people came back to was, look, he's been gone for a long time on something that he's not elaborating to you on. He just said a colleague called for an important project. That's it. This is much information as she's given people because essentially how she's put it is that's what he's told her. Okay. They're like, he doesn't contact you to let you know, but you say normally he does call you to let you know when he's going to be late.
This behavior is out of the norm.
Correct. Which is why a lot of people are saying this is a lot of red flags. He knew this thing was happening. He should have called you to let you know.
You wouldn't have skipped out on a 30th. That's a big milestone and you know everyone's there. That's why this is real suspicious.
And then I'll bet you a lot of the arguing before he left to his mother's was probably those same accusations because things don't add up.
I mean, she has every right to. If you're going to be vague and 6 hours goes missing, I understand a couple hours, especially if you're working. If he's a mechanic, his head's under a hood somewhere.
Correct.
I understand that. All right. You're going to go 2-3 hours, maybe without a break because you're just in the zone. I understand. But on your birthday, when you know he leaves 3 hours before they're supposed to leave for the party.
Correct.
So he would have gotten on his phone going, hey, I'm running late. I'll be there. I promise. None of that happens.
He leaves at 4:30 and she doesn't hear from him until 11 o'clock at night.
We're CSI Love investigators. You've been busted. No, seriously though, I think he's cheating on you. You should probably give us an update because I want to know.
I want to know as well.
Someone got a happy 30th somewhere, but it wasn't at that party.
Well, that was a very interesting event that we just went to.
Great way to start Friday.
Let's go ahead and go on to our next story regarding children and their hair. Am I the a-hole for shaving my niece's hair off? I'll try to keep this short. My sister has a daughter and she is 4 years old. Lexi has super curly hair and needs her hair to be taken care of constantly. My sister's husband ended up in the hospital and she has been a wreck. He has only been a week, but she is destroyed and stopped brushing Lexi's hair. I was visiting with some pre-made meals and noticed the house and Lexi's hair was a mess. My sister wasn't doing well, so I offered to take Lexi for a bit so she can focus on her husband. I tried to fix her hair. It's just matted. I couldn't fix it. I went to a hair salon to see if they could fix it, but it would be $50 an hour for them to brush out the hair. My sister wasn't picking up. So we had her head shaved the next day. I sent pictures when it was done, and that finally got her to respond. It resulted in a huge argument, with her saying, how dare I do that, and me pointing out I wouldn't have had to if she brushed her daughter's hair. Edit. Make the timeline clear. I got her Tuesday morning, went to the salon on Wednesday, and then did the cut today, which would be Thursday. She had 3 days to respond to all calls and texts. This didn't happen in an hour. Lexi was fine with it. Her head was hurting, and yes, we tried everything we could to get it out. Not to mention, I called my sister and texted her multiple times and waited a whole day after the salon visit. It was painful. I wasn't going to leave her in pain since her mom wouldn't pick up. Am I the a-hole?
Okay. This one definitely is going to have to be a little bit of looking through it through a different perspective, because normally when we talk about hair and children and families and making decisions, it's normally very clear and cut. You're not the parent. You don't get to make these decisions. But here you do have to broaden how you look at this, because this is a unique situation. Unfortunately, OP's sister is going through a hard time right now. The husband is in the hospital. We don't know what for, but it's been about a week in this timeline. So hopefully they're okay. So OP wants to help out. She sees that her sister is stressing out, rightfully so, but she's trying to be a good sister. She says, hey, let me take your daughter off your hands so that way you can focus on the health of your husband for a little bit. She gets her niece, and she says it herself, the hair that she has is very curly.
Correct.
And it needs to be brushed frequently. It's high maintenance.
Exactly.
And so now it's in a state of disarray. She says it's matted. And I've never had matted hair, but I can assume that matted hair is very painful. We try not to do it with our animals, right? That's painful. You see a mat, you got to brush that out or you cut the hair away. But what I'm assuming is it's the entire head that we've got matted. I'm not sure how long that would have taken for it to get in that type of state, but it sounds like it happened quickly. So now we get into the harder part of this story. She sees the other hairs in that state. She tries to take her to the parlor. She has them look at it. There's not really any other option because it sounds like the money really was the issue at the end of the day.
So here they said, because our poster went ahead and gave us comments on the details on that. She said it's $50 an hour to have tried to unmat the hair.
Yeah.
It would have been 8 hours of straight potential work.
How bad was this?
It was apparently very bad. The amount of money would have been $400 to try. And mind you, this would have been better with an adult who could sit there. You're talking about a little 4-year-old girl that's dealing with the pain of somebody trying to unmat this hair.
How long did it not get brushed? I thought she said it was only a week that he's been in the hospital.
So our poster actually let us know in her comments, she has the same type of hair, extremely curly. And what she sees might have been the problem was she was taking a shower and rather than brush out the hair like it should be, it was just put into a bun. And
this type of stuff can happen very quickly with curly hair.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about the tight curls, like really, really tight curls. And when a lot of the times people with extremely curly hair too, if they don't want to deal with it in their face or in the way, especially for kids, they just pull it back into like a little bun. And then you'll see like there's a bunch of little curls at the top. It's the cutest little thing for me to see, but I know it's a lot of maintenance. I have extremely straight hair. You have what is called a mix between curly and wave. You encounter more knots than I do. And if you pull those knots, can you imagine a little girl 4-year-old trying to deal with it?
I can see where that would be difficult to ask. It's 8 hours.
So they kept pulling it in that bun over and over, not brushing it with this extremely curly hair. And then it just got matted to the point where essentially it would be almost like how you would deal with bubble gum in your hair.
Yeah. Well, I guess it comes back around to this. You gave your kid off and then you go MIA for 3 days with someone with your child. I understand that you're going through a hard time and your husband's going through some stuff in the hospital. You don't go MIA with the person watching your children for 3 days at that point. You still have to be in contact with them. They're watching your child. That's where I don't understand. There's not an excuse for it. The zero. You back OP into a corner because she's sitting there going, obviously this kid's in pain. I can only imagine that type of pain on the scalp. She's trying to do the best she can with the cards that you have dealt her in this situation. She tried to reach out to you a whole day after they went to the parlor, got the assessment. You didn't answer them. The OP in the situation got the haircut because she thought it was in the best interest of the child. Pain-wise, management-wise, it's a whole thing. Like, this is a very unique situation. And then she proceeds to send the pictures over to her sister. And then that's when you finally get a response. That means she's been watching this entire time. She just didn't feel like she needed to message you. What is going through your head when you're reading these messages? That, hey, her hair is matted. We need to fix this. She's in pain. Like, there's a whole thing here. And then you wait till the very end when the hair had to be cut to say anything. Because I do understand her sister is in a tight spot and emotionally, I'm sure things aren't great. I don't know what's going on with the husband again. I hope everything's okay. But it still doesn't make an excuse for ignoring your sister when she's trying to help you take care of your daughter. You're not the a-hole in my opinion.
Well, the consensus is that she's not the a-hole. You had a couple people that came on saying that she's the a-hole because...
Not her kid, not her choice.
Exactly. It's not her decision for that child. However, everybody else came down and said, look, this is essentially child neglect. This child was in pain. And a lot of people who had curly hair went ahead and said, it is extremely easy to get your hair matted. And the only thing that you can do with those mats is to cut it at that point. That poor baby was in a lot of pain. And for her to keep dealing with it is unfair. It's more unfair that the poster had to be put into a situation where she had to make a call like this because it is difficult. You would like that parent's approval. Otherwise, you second guess whether your right action is the correct way to go. But I will go ahead and put this in this perspective for all listeners. Had someone from Child Protective Services seen that this kid was being neglected and in pain, could have been pulled from the house and then her hair would have been cut the same to relieve her from that pain. The fact that instead of family members doing this for the betterment of a child, that in all accounts and purposes is really by no means not their responsibility to take care of, but that they put on themselves to do. Is it any different?
It just sounds like she was being a good aunt.
It's difficult. I understand that this might not have been what the mother would have wanted originally, but when you're talking about looks and you're talking about the comfort of a child, it should always be the comfort of a child first. Well, we wish this family well, especially with whatever the mother and her husband are going through.
Yes.
I wish a good success from health and happiness well past a hospital. In the meantime, let's go on to our next story. And I'm going to take us to another not safe for work story. Am I the a-hole for disposing my pads in my boyfriend's bathroom? Not sure whether this is actually not safe for work, but better safe than sorry. My boyfriend, 23 male, and I, 18 female, have been together for about 3 months now, and this is the first time I've spent the night over at his flat while I was on my period. Since yesterday, I've been changing my pads in his bathroom, and each time I wrap the used pad in a plastic wrapper and put it in the trash can. The trash can has a lid, and there's a plastic garbage bag in there, so the pad was touching nothing but the trash that was already inside. I genuinely didn't think it was a big deal until my boyfriend took out the trash this morning and noticed the plastic wrappers in the bag. He knew they were the packaging for my pads because he has seen them before, and quite outraged, he asked whether my used pads were also in that bag. I told him yes, and he dropped the bag, calling me disgusting and telling me to take out the trash myself. I did, but then asked him where else I should have put my pads, and he told me I could have just kept them in my purse until I got home. I'm staying at his place for 3 nights because we both have some time off, and I wasn't going to keep my used pads in my bag for days on end. Imagine the smell. He stated that he didn't want my blood all over his trash and that I should find another way to dispose of my pads ASAP. I don't think my attempt of an explanation why period blood isn't as disgusting as he thinks it is got through to him, and he's quite set on his opinion. I think he was a bit childish because I don't understand how an adult straight man can be so disgusted by period blood. But when I texted my brother, 19 male, about it, he sided with my boyfriend. As I've been outnumbered, I wanted to see whether other people also believe what I did was an a-hole move. Am I the a-hole?
No. This one's a easy one. They're young. I think OP is 18 and her boyfriend's 23.
Yes.
You really have not been exposed to a whole lot in your life if you find that to be gross. Life will teach you, I guess. So in this story, OP's boyfriend expects her to have her pads, used ones, shoved into her purse for 3 days or disposed of somewhere else that isn't a trash can in their bathroom.
Correct.
Where else would she have put them? Threw them out the window of the flat? Like, I'm failing to understand this part of the story. It might just be the generation, though. I understand that
it could be.
Younger generations think about things a little differently.
They do, especially when they don't have,
Experience.
I guess you can, or exposure. But to go so far along down the line,
making
to be
her
disrespectful.
Feel bad. She's on her period. She cannot help that. That's a bodily function. It happens. She was disposing it in a trash can. Like, that's what it is for. For you to have the reaction you did, you're very childish. We'll start with that. You got some growing up to do on your end. There are going to be a lot of instances where you're going to be dealing with blood and other things as you, like, because they're a new relationship. This is 3 months.
Oh, yes.
I guess we are right, though. It's a different generation. They've come up maybe not exposed to anything. I'm wondering if he's an only child or he just didn't have sisters growing up, because that would have been dealt with a long time ago. Or a mother in the home. Like, you would have been exposed to these things very early on in your life. But everyone lives differently, and he might have not had siblings or a mother in the home or sisters around. You should definitely learn this lesson and grow up, because if you're going to be dating women, there will be more pads and things like that in your trash cans. So yeah, OP, you're not the a-hole. I would tell your boyfriend to grow up.
Well, the consensus is that she's not the a-hole. In fact, There were some gentlemen that clearly were trolls and were trying to tell her that it was disgusting that apparently she throw her pads in the trash can. But she clearly batted them away and they deleted their stuff, including their account.
Good.
Additionally, she was quite shocked at how many hundreds of people were supporting her, but she said she was more shocked that everybody was telling her to break up with this guy.
See, that's where I'm not going to jump off on that. Again, we said it. Younger generation, different values. Just
Correct.
something you can grow through and learn from.
She did tell everybody that she felt a little overwhelmed, but that if anything, she left early. And that on top of that, if she doesn't get any kind of apology, or I guess you can say some sort of compromising between the two of them in the near future, that she will probably reconsider even maintaining the relationship if it's not worth it.
Well, that's different then. If you're trying to give each other a chance to grow from it, then yeah. And if he chooses not to, then of course, obviously you don't want to continue a life with someone that's closed-minded. But to straight up just from the get-go, oh, they're not doing the tampon, get out. Yeah, they're kids, they'll learn. They're in their early 20s. And
Well, let's go ahead and leave this fiasco behind us. And let's see what's happening in this upcoming story. For our next story, am I the a-hole for reminding my sister she was deemed not fit to adopt when she asked to adopt one of my twins? Me and my sister Mia both suffer from fertility issues. I made peace with it long ago, but Mia always wanted kids, so she and her husband kept trying. From IVF to adoption, all of them resulted in a dead end. I recently found out that I was 2 months pregnant with twins. My partner Kyle and I were surprised but happy. I called up my sister and told her the news and said I was going to announce it to the family at a gathering at my house. I expected her to be angry, as she has been with other family members for getting pregnant, and I told her it was okay if she couldn't come and felt it would be too much for her. Surprisingly, she said she was okay and therapy had helped and agreed to come. So 3 days ago, I hosted a family gathering at our place and announced it via watching pictures on a projection screen, the last photo being my ultrasound. Immediately, all family members looked at me and they understood. All of them congratulated me and Kyle, including Mia and her husband. Mia kept really close to me throughout the gathering and asked to see the ultrasound multiple times, which me and Kyle brushed off to her being happy for me. That night, Mia called me and said she had something important to say. She wanted to adopt one of the twins. I was appalled. I said I am not giving my twins up for adoption. She kept trying to encourage me to give in and said it would be the right thing to do since we were twins as well. I was getting pissed off and told her I couldn't even if I wanted to, since all adoption agencies had rejected her application and deemed her unfit to raise a child. She started crying, called me a bitch, and said I didn't deserve to be a mother and wished the children not be born to a mother like me. I hung up at that. Since then, my mother and some paternal aunts who also suffer from the same fertility issues have been texting and messaging me, calling me inconsiderate and selfish. Kyle, my dad, and maternal family are with me on this. My mother says since we didn't plan the baby, it wouldn't hurt to give away one of the twins, especially when she would still be in the family. I have seen Mia break down during other relatives' pregnancy announcements and be hysterical. I genuinely thought she was okay with my pregnancy after her being in therapy, but apparently not. Still, I did say those things to her knowing it would hurt her. Some maternal aunts said it was probably a mood swing, but I don't know. Am I the a-hole?
this is a spicy, scary meatball. Wow. I'm shocked at this story. This is severe. This is probably one of the more severe ones I've heard from you so far, because this is kind of taking it into a dangerous place, I think, in my mind. OP says they weren't planning on having kids. They've had problems anyway, and they just got given a gift. A twin is having twins.
How cute.
She already knew that her sister had been trying to have kids. They said it. They tried to do adoption. They did try to do it naturally, to no avail. So we can already see where she's coming from in this. She's had to get therapy for all of this stuff. And OP says that she thought her sister would take it poorly because in the past, her sister has taken pregnancy announcements poorly.
Which is understandable, which is why she didn't wait until the announcement.
And
she did it before.
She did it the best way I've learned how people do it now. Give the pre-warning before an announcement. Give them the out if they don't want to be a part of it. But she chose to go ahead and go along with it. She says through her therapy that everything's a lot better now. They go to the baby announcement, and it sounds like it was a very cute way of doing it. They did the slideshow, all the families there. In the very end, you show the ultrasound. That's a cute way of doing it. The night proceeds, everything's great. Then the other shoe falls. Everyone goes home. Her sister calls her and then proceeds to start asking for the other baby. Because there's twins, you won't mind giving up one of them. Where are they from that that's acceptable to say to anyone? Those kids are OP's kids. I understand, and that I do feel bad for OP's sister, but only to a certain extent, because it sounds like this thing could become dangerous. It doesn't sound like they're looking through this with a reason. And what's really appalling is not only is the other sister looking at the situation like this, but some of the family members, including their mother, is feeding it back to the sister that it's okay that she thinks like this. They weren't expecting to have them. There's an extra child that should be yours. None of you are in the right state of mind. If I was OP's husband, we would be cutting off contact, because those children, I would be forever
afraid
uncomfortable.
Of their safety.
There's no way you're putting the safety of my child before your wants. I'm sorry you had those problems. It sounds like there was more to that conversation on the phone before it led up to what she said to her sister. Yes, those words may have been harsh, but I'm willing to bet that there was like 6 or 7 no's to that question before it ever got to, look, there was a reason why the adoption agency didn't approve you. Is that harsh to say to someone when they push past your boundaries? No,
I would say no.
You're pointing out facts. There's a reason that you were evaluated and deemed it not safe to put a child with you. For whatever reason that is, obviously they don't allude to it, nor is it our business unless they do.
Actually.
Oh, wow. We're going to get an update on this, huh?
The poster actually let people know what exactly it was, because a lot of people wanted to know.
There's a very important detail to this.
Now, they said that there's a difference between a rejection of an adoption and being deemed unfit.
Okay.
A rejection just means, for whatever reason, either money-wise or maybe like some criteria, you didn't meet it, right?
Okay.
But being unfit means that you're not going to be a good parent at all.
Okay.
So there's a clear difference between these two. However, she went ahead and she let 2 different commenters know what all of that entailed for her sister. And in her first comment, she said, it was due to negligence to the 2 kids she fostered. The kids were removed and she was rejected when later applied for adoption.
So she was a foster parent.
Correct.
She mistreated the children. They took them away and now she's no longer... So she tried in the past.
So in another comment, she says she was deemed unfit because of her showing negligence to the 2 kids she had fostered for a few months, which she said were due to mental health issues. It was during that time her first time trying IVF failed, and she was trying for a second time. Now, clearly, there's a lot of mental instability with her sister.
Sure.
A lot of things that she's not coming to terms with. And if the children that were in her care were being neglected,
I think the OP was more than right to have told her what she did on the phone. Protect your children. Protect them now. Set the boundaries. Go to your family and let them know this is not up for a debate. Those are our children. They are not yours. Because I'm telling you, that situation could turn scary. She's definitely not the a-hole. I would protect your kids.
Well, the consensus is definitely not the a-hole. And as you've said, everyone has warned her, please protect yourself. This is crazy. There's a level of unstableness that can put your family, even your unborn children, at peril. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll leave this family with best wishes. Hope for safety for the poster, her unborn children, and her husband. And let's go on to this next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving when my brother-in-law wouldn't let me in the hot tub? My brother-in-law just bought a new house. He lives about 4 hours from us. Last weekend, my husband and I went to visit him for a few days and see the house for the first time. Long story short, I got my period while I was sleeping, and the guest room sheets had a small bloodstain, about the size of a quarter. My husband helped me strip the bed, and I went down to the laundry room to pre-treat and then wash the sheets. When they were done, the bloodstain was 100% gone, but when we told brother-in-law, he looked completely disgusted. He inspected the sheets super closely for a very long time, and finally I was like, Jesus, brother-in-law, if you're looking that closely and can't find the stain, can't you trust me that I got it out? He seemed clearly put out by the whole thing. That night, we had plans to hang out in brother-in-law's hot tub in the backyard, but after dinner, He told me that I wasn't allowed in the hot tub because of my period. I was shocked and explained that the nighttime leak was because I hadn't been expecting my period and had been fast asleep all night, but that it was perfectly safe and sanitary for me to put in a tampon and sit in the hot tub for an hour, but he wouldn't budge. My husband had my back and told him that he was being ridiculous, and it ended up turning into a big argument. Eventually, my husband and I decided to pack our stuff and stay at a nearby hotel, and then we drove home the next morning. Now, brother-in-law is pissed at us for leaving and for not respecting his home. He also Venmo requested my husband $100 for new sheets, which he is refusing to pay, but trusts that if the stain hadn't come out, we would have been happy to replace them. He told his whole side of the family, who've decided to fully stay out of it. I wish they had our backs more, but at least they're not piling onto us. So, are husband and I a-holes for leaving and not paying for the sheets?
Okay, so I guess we'll go to their questions first. You're not the a-hole for leaving because you felt unwelcomed, and you're not the a-hole for not paying for the sheets, because it sounds like you gotten the stain out and you said it was the size of a quarter. You treated it and it was done and over with. It was an accident. You said it yourself. You slept through the night and you woke up and you were on your period. Oh no, what are you doing? I don't know how old OP's brother-in-law is. They don't say it. It is his home and he does sound like he likes things orderly. Yeah, you're definitely not the a-hole based off of the criteria you're asking here. I don't see it. Now, does he have the right to ask you not to be in the hot tub because you told him you're on your period? Sure, it's his hot tub. You can feel a certain way about that. He's not a gracious host, and I don't think you're in the wrong for having felt that part of it.
For me, the only thing that seems to differentiate this story is the fact of where the blood came from. Had she cut her finger and bled the same amount on the sheet from her thumb, I bet you he wouldn't be having the same reaction.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. I don't think the OP is the a-hole.
Well, let me go ahead and read to you some small updates and edit it to ads. So, edit 1. I swore I'd never be one of those people who did this, but to all the people who say everyone sucks here or you're the a-hole because of a certain risk that I won't mention here because this isn't a medical sub, I'll just say that if brother-in-law was worried about that risk for me, it would be a different story. He didn't want me in the hot tub because period blood is gross. Edit 2. For everyone asking why I even told him, it's because my period isn't a dirty little secret. It's a natural thing that happens to half of the adult population. And because I'm not going to sneak around like a cat burglar to do laundry. He heard the dryer buzz and asked about it and I told him. Edit number 3. Some more FAQs. Brother-in-law has a girlfriend who doesn't live with him. She hung out with us the first night. That was the first time I'd met her, but had to work the night of the argument, so she wasn't around. I don't know what she thinks of the whole situation, and I'm not going to reach out about it. And brother-in-law isn't on the spectrum. He doesn't have OCD, and he's not a germaphobe. He just thinks it's gross. Edit number 4.
Oh.
Wow, this really blew up. Anyway, please trust that I know my body and my flow, and that on the first full day of my period, I know that I can wear a tampon for a while without leaking. For what it's worth, we did go to the hotel hot tub after we checked in, and I stayed in for 90 minutes, and when I got out, there was nary a speck of evil, dirty vagina blood on my bathing suit.
Really weird. Like, we've had 2 stories now where people are getting hooked out over something that's natural. And
like I said, the consensus is that she's not the a-hole. She's not the a-hole for wanting to leave. Now, he's not the a-hole for not wanting her in his tub. It's his tub.
Yep.
Is he an a-hole for being a bad host? Yes, you have a girlfriend.
I mean, on both ends, you made her feel bad about the sheets, and then you did it with the hot tub. I
think what's even a lower blow is he's charging them for the sheets
on the way out. Yeah. By the way, you Venmo me that 100, please. I don't know. That sounds like a bad brother-in-law. And well, at least the OP's husband agreed with her.
You understand that this is something that is just our bodily function. It's not something where it's on command and we're trying to do it. To annoy other people, you know, like, guess what? Yeah. We're going to go into that bathtub period start right now.
I'm going to ruin these sheets right now. Yeah, it is a bodily function and you do need to grow up.
And now on to our very last story of the day. You want to go on a vacation?
Hell yeah.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Oh man, for our last story, let's see about trying to go on a vacation then, shall we?
Let's go.
Am I the a-hole for canceling the entire vacation when I found out that my stepdaughters deliberately hid my daughter's passport to get her to stay home? I've been married to my wife, Beth, for 5 years. I have a bio daughter named Jessica. She's 18. And I also have 2 stepdaughters named Monica and Leah. They're 25 and 28. Both are single moms and live with us currently. There's been issues about my stepdaughters asking my daughter to babysit the kids. Jessica didn't have a problem with it at first, since this is what she does to earn money, but since her stepsisters don't pay her much, she just refused to babysit. We worked this out by having my wife take care of paying for the babysitting. I planned a family vacation for 3 days, and everyone wanted to go. However, both Monica and Leah suggested that Jessica stay home and watch the kids since Beth doesn't want her grandkids to come. They said it's because the kids are used to Jessica and hiring another babysitter would cause issues, and also said that Jessica isn't too fond of our destination, but it was obvious that Jessica wanted to go. They insisted, and Beth offered to pay her double, and there was just a lot of back and forth on this till I demanded they stop bringing it up. We were supposed to go last week, but when everybody had grabbed their bags and was time to go, Jessica found out that she didn't have her passport on her. We searched her bag, then went home and searched there. Beth and my stepdaughters kept insisting that we go back to the airport or else we'd miss our flight. They insisted that Jessica stay at home with the kids. They even told the new babysitter to go home because she was no longer needed. I refused to go and kept searching for the passport till Monica admitted that she helped Leah hide Jessica's passport to get her to stay home with the kids. I was livid. I tried to get her to tell me where it was, but she said Leah had it. Leah denied, so I threatened to cancel the vacation. That's when they gave it back. I decided to actually cancel the vacation and blew up at both of them and berated them. They stayed upstairs for a while and Beth refused to speak to me and said that I punished my stepdaughters for worrying about their kids and wanting them to stay with someone they know. I got told I overreacted and ruined the trip for everybody. Editing to mention that kicking my stepdaughters out isn't possible since my wife co-owns the house that we currently live in. Am I the a-hole?
What is Friday's episodes?
A mess.
A spicy ball again. You have terrible stepdaughters. This was like listening to Cinderella. This is what this story was. These are the wicked stepsisters, and there's a wicked mother in the story, all in one. You're not the a-hole, OP. I don't even need to set this table. It's been set. There is terrible people in your life. Good job sticking up for your daughter. Your stepdaughters are heinous humans. You say it, they're in their mid-20s and they both each have a kid. They're living at home. They're expecting that your bio daughter, in your words, is a babysitter for them. They hide a passport on the day of the vacation so that way they can force their little sister to watch their kids. This is disgusting. They go back home because the dad is a good dad to find this passport for his daughter. It's getting close to the flight time, which I'm pretty sure is why one of the sisters spoke up because they don't want to miss their vacation. You know what's crazy to me is that they know that these tickets have been purchased. This vacation isn't up for grabs anymore. We're not talking about maybe we'll go. The plane ticket got bought. Everything got reserved. They've already shoveled out the money for OP's bio daughter to go, but they're still willing to sabotage that. How unhinged are you as a human being that you two thought that that was acceptable? Honestly, if someone treated my child that way, and I understand for him, he says it, his wife owns half the home. So it's not as easy as just saying you're out. I would probably just go ahead and reassess my relationship with my wife at that point too, because she's agreeing and giving them a pass for being terrible people. That tells me all I need to know about your wife. That's gross. Keep being and I'm sorry that you're having to, because that's not a family. Keep being the good dad you are. I would seriously look about reconsidering my living situation and who I'm with, because you know better than the company you keep. Yeah, you're not the a-hole, OP.
Well, the consensus is that he's not the a-hole. In fact, as you've said, a lot of people say reconsider this marriage, that they understand his situation might not be where you can kick those stepdaughters out, but clearly how your daughter's being treated is wrong and it should in no way be okay. And he actually responded back and said, after seeing a lot of this, I am looking at this through a different angle now.
Fantastic.
But yes, there's actually a lot of commenters that put down a lot of their viewpoints on this. I would definitely suggest our listeners go through and read the comments if they'd like to see some of these awarded. There's so much to go through. A lot of them had made such great points. In the end, your child should never take a back seat to any other child. And this just shows, in my mind, if these two stepdaughters went this far, I wonder if they've done even more heinous things without him realizing just how bad it was.
How deep does that hole go? Because if they thought that was acceptable to do in that stage, what other little things have they been doing along the way to this child?
I'm just shocked because he says, I can clearly see my daughter's excited to go, but they try and gaslight and say, no, she's actually not. And then on top of that, yes, he already spent the money. They even got the babysitter. They went back to the babysitter and told them, you're not needed.
Wow. That is so unhinged from reality that you would go to this extent to make what you want happen at someone else's expense.
Some people are just extremely selfish.
That ain't family.
Not even a little.
If that's how people are operating in your life, get out of it. That's not okay. Friday. Lord, I want back when we're like talking about kids getting sprayed with hoses and stuff like that.
You want the lighthearted
that's
stuff?
That's better than this. Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you see in the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. We are regularly posting on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We would also love to hear what kind of fun things you're planning on doing this weekend, and which story it is that you actually like this time.
There wasn't many.
I know for this weekend, I'm going to put in some hefty playtime of Mario with Timstradamus here.
Mamma mia! We always look forward to hearing what you guys are doing. And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet.